giant hot air balloon of a head in Tokyo, Japan. Giant head? Well, I won't say no to that. Hi again, guys, and welcome back to your daily sludge. Open up, because here comes the airplane. It's a scary big hudge of sludge today. We're gonna be looking at things that will probably scare people with megalophobia. Megalophobia is an anxiety disorder in which a person experiences intense fear of large objects. Phobias are supposed to be like an irrational fear of something, but I take issue with that because for a lot of these, I totally get it. It's not fun to look at these and the implications that come with them. There's a lot of crossover here with thalassophobia, which is fear of the ocean, because part of that fear is the inherent vastness of those open seas. And if you enjoy this video, this card at the end will take you to the video where I covered that fear. Also, less than 20% of y'all are subscribed with notifications on. If you subscribe and hit the bell icon, you'll never miss an upload, and you can always undo it later. One little bit I did find funny about this subreddit is that the profile pic of the community is just the Reddit showed looking guy looking down at you like you're about to give him some sloppy top. It gets the point across, but it makes me giggle. It's a nice little palate cleanser before we get to the stuff that makes us shiver a little. The famous tanker sinking off the coast of Brittany in 1978. Is Brittany a misspelling of Britain, or is that a place I need to visit ASAP? He doesn't seem like he's bothering anyone. He's just like a little whale popping his head above the water to say hello. It's not like anybody was using that real estate, if we're being honest. A lot of these are gonna seem like environmental storytelling in a game, where there's like these long forgotten ruins of a tragedy long past. This looks like a modern photo, but I don't know if that thing is still there, and I kinda hope it is. It would give you a hell of a view from the houses, which is pretty sick. The question is, would a tanker raise or tank the property value of that area? It's a cool ass view for sure, but some real estate snobs might consider it skyline pollution. If it is, then this could have been one really elaborate plan to keep rent prices down in the area. People in Las Vegas get to wake up to this giant thing. The handy dandy sphere. I remember when I was next to this thing at TwitchCon last year. I was like stuck in an Uber right next to it, and it was looping this aquarium bit, and my Uber driver pointed at one of the fish and was like, "Oh, I've never seen one of those. What is that?" I said to her, "That's a jellyfish, ma'am." I always wondered how much it would cost to put something on this ball. There's probably guidelines on what they'll let you put on there, but I wonder if those limits can be passed if you pay a little more. There was this one time that they put a giant eyeball in there, and it went viral on Twitter because these people who were golfing didn't like being watched from across the city. It was common sentiment back then to join the battle with the giant eye demon, but on the side of the evil demon eye, because it makes people we find a little annoying uncomfortable. No, the cloud's holding his breath! It doesn't do anything! Just exhale! It looks less like the sky is whispering to the earth and more like he's shushing him. All them tectonic plates moving around underground are making it hard to sleep, just rubbing up on each other, getting all freaky. Usually you have to hit your ceiling with a broom to get your upstairs neighbor to knock it off. This is like the reverse of that, where the sky's like, "You're making me come down there and I'm not happy about it." Just physically gives them a sign to shut the fuck up and stop fucking. The first wind-powered cargo ships. Cargo ships already scared me, but wind-powered? Whenever I see those things in ports and I'm just like shown how big they actually are, I'm like, oh, that's like billions of dollars worth of commerce. But at least those like are only really big in the long sense. Why did they have to add a vertical layer of fear to these things, man? It's not like they aren't already scary enough. It's funny that the company who made those wind sails is called Bar because they look like giant flasks. The wind thing was a complete lie. They're actually just powered off of burning alcohol. This is what the engineers would call a troll, where they're making you think that they're doing some really good stuff for the earth, but it's actually just burning oil. That said, this is not the first wind-powered cargo ship. Like, sure, it's probably the biggest one out there, but like back in the day, all ships were wind-powered, including the ones that you transported cargo with. This is like the dude reinventing the wheel, but it's just 40 times bigger than the original, and is like, I made the first of this thing ever. 2 words, stolen valor. The coast of England, where this one gives this person a special type of megalophobia. I'm not gonna lie, the lighthouse in the distance in comparison to the cliffside is really giving me some of that same fear. At least I imagine it's the same kind. The angle of the picture itself is crazy, like you have to admit that. It looks like someone took a bite out of a piece of cake and we're looking at the white and creamy innards and stuff. Like sure, the frosting on the outside of me is green, but the insides are always red. If I had to put a guess on this, I think that cliffside is made out of cheesecake because it's the same color, but also because it's my favorite and I have an inherent bias. Me at all times of the day and future when it's nighttime have a lot in common. You know, minus the popping perks and actually having sex bit. The size of that elk Brother, that is not an elk, and you don't really need me to tell you that. This post is like 9 months old. Every comment is about how this is not an elk, it's a moose. To me, the thought process to even make that mistake doesn't make sense in my head. The word elk just sounds like something tiny and pathetic that may either need to be defended or hunted to be eaten. Like if I had never seen a moose before and I had to think of something to call it for myself, at least internally, elk is the farthest thing from what I would be calling it. It just doesn't fit at all. Like the dude who made this post really should have had the good sense to mistake it for something else. else. Like a fucked up looking dog or a mutated direwolf. People don't talk about direwolves enough. Those things were really cool back when they existed. I was around for that. The 1936 concept of making the Eiffel Tower accessible by car. If the Eiffel Tower was in America, they would have gotten this plan done in like 3 months. This is a peek into an alternate future where all of Europe also became car dependent. What is even the purpose of this? It's just like building stacks of shit to build stacks of shit. The most efficient way across Paris is obviously to climb upwards a bunch, drive next to the midsection of the Eiffel Tower, then wind all the way down, adding another hour to your commute every day. I feel like people in the 20th century were just building plans of shit they wanted to build just to fucking do it. Have y'all ever seen that pyramid megastructure that some nut job proposed in Tokyo? It's supposed to be made out of a bunch of small pyramids that are about the size of the Pyramid of Giza each, just stacked to make one really, really big pyramid. I would be for this on one condition, that being it's a Bass Pro Shop through and through. Like, sure, it can be the society of the future that's completely self-sustaining and people live in like they wanted it to be. It just better have that fish logo everywhere. The Gustav Gun, the largest single weapon ever used in history, weighing at up to 1,500 tons. Oh, that's real cute, Germans. It looks crazy. But hold up, what's that? Oh, nuclear bomb. So sorry. It's that classic scenario of playing rock, paper, scissors with someone and then shooting the guy you're fighting against. It looks made up for like the Legend of Korra steampunk setting. It really is just classic fascist overcompensation. I feel like they only had a few of these things, and the use case has to be pretty limited. Like, imagine if you lined up the shot and then you missed. Aiming this thing takes like 2 to 3 business days, and then like you completely blow it when you pull the trigger. That money would have been much better spent on gacha games. A 26-story pig farm in China. High-rise hog farms have sprung up nationwide as part of Beijing's drive to enhance its agricultural competitiveness and reduce its dependence on imports. The Azu farm stands like a monument to China's ambition to modernize pork production. I guess I understand the motivation, but what the fuck do those pigs need windows for, dude? Just tease them with the concept of sunlight that you'll never let them actually experience? Still, they are living in better conditions than like 40% of Americans, and hey, they're only worked to the slaughter a little bit faster than that same 40%. It's just if you're gonna build a structure like this, it could have at least been an apartment complex, but I don't think China needs those. We do. Probably be haunted with the squeals of pigs for a while, but it'd probably work. This is the Cologne Cathedral. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Gothic architecture. Just all the lattices and the really detailed and ornate sculpting, the way it all just kind of drapes over each other, almost like it's cloth. But this thing desperately needs a power wash, dude. Look at the top of it. Venom is halfway done consuming this thing into its bowels. How much bird poop do you think is on the roof of that thing that we just don't think about from the ground floor? I don't know, but whenever the symbiote's done up there, it's gonna get up and start walking around like a Megazord, just lifts up concrete arms to start fighting Godzilla with. Once again, thinking about the giant western red cedar trees that washed up on La Push Beach in Washington and how vast and terrifying the ocean truly is. Damn, the tree is bigger than the island back there. Guy right before he learns about depth perceptions be like. Guys right before they learn about depth perception be like. The dude next to the tree almost looks like he's squatting down a little bit. I don't know if he's just trying to help the tree feel better about itself and seem bigger, but you don't really need to, man. It's doing a good enough job of looking huge on its own, brother. But this is what I mean when I say like megalophobia and thalassophobia kind of go hand in hand. The inherent vastness of the ocean is like right next to what makes Big Statue real scary. Speaking of real scary Big Statue, this statue in Sendai, Japan. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is what it's called. Need to just put it on the screen because she's very helpful. In this picture specifically, especially with the weird-ass color grading, it looks like one of those Blender-rendered videos of just a huge monster in the distance just walking towards you. You know, like some of the original things of Siren Head. It looks like one of those things you would immediately assume is fake because of how it looks on the skyline. The way it looms over you like in a video game. It just feels absurd looking at it, but then you realize that those sort of things are probably inspired by a real thing somewhere else. Like the St. Louis Arch. The caption says, "Why did they build that?" To me, it reads like those posts where it's all, do you think Eminem got told to pose like that, or he just did that? And I'm sure a lot of y'all, because you're around my age, whenever you think of this arch, it's in the context of Percy Jackson. If you don't know, in the first book, there is a part where Percy has to jump off of the arch into the water near it in order to escape some people hunting him down. The thing is, a lot of people noticed that this was definitely too big of a jump to make in reality, and when Rick Riordan, the author, was asked about why he wrote it like that, he literally said, I thought it was closer. Like, honestly, yeah, that's metal as shit, man. Go for it. In 1984, Bruce McCandlis hovered 320 feet away from the Challenger and made it back safely with a jetpack. Damn, he really didn't give a fuck. I always wondered if, like, for stuff like this, you had to volunteer, or if you just got told to do it by your boss and had to suck it up. But I don't know. If he was coming off the spaceship, I could imagine him doing that just to get some peace and quiet. It's gotta be cramped as hell in there. If you thought Earth was big, though, it's crazy as shit looking at the rings of Saturn Saturn. And if you think the rings of Saturn are crazy, the planet J1407b's enormous rings are 200 times bigger than Saturn. I don't get much megalophobia, but this legitimately freaks me out. I feel the same way. It just fucks me off that things that big are just chilling out in the middle of nowhere. And for what? Nobody even gets to perceive it except for us a billion light years away. Still, Saturn is a lot closer to us, which makes it a little scarier. And the rings on that thing are huge. Still, we on Earth are the only ones who even actually know about it, so we stay on top. The small dot is Mercury in front of Sun. Definitely unsettling. I bet Mercury has a giant crush on its big bar atop the Sun, which just shines as the apple of their eye. Here we have the Freedom Ship, a concept for a floating city to free people from taxes. I actually watched a video by this guy, Bright Sun Films, on this. It's very good. Highly recommend checking it out. The concept itself is very fascinating, and technically it's still being shopped around. Theoretically, after it's built, it might be cheaper to live on this thing than it would be to in a lot of places in the mainland United States. And hey, if something could ever get this built, it would be rich people trying to evade their taxes. This would offer me a lot of utility because I have a lot of money I'm trying to squirrel away from the government. My only issue is I just don't think it would be great for being a content creator, especially if you stream. Imagine IRL streaming when you walk around that place and then somebody on the boat just immediately knows where you are. They're a big fan, but they unfortunately live in the same secluded, inescapable ship that you do. Chinese colossal buildings. I don't know if this is Chongqing or like one of the other major Chinese cities, but I don't care, man. I want more buildings with big lights all over the side of it. I don't care about if the construction was shoddy or light pollution. It looks cool. They have these all over China, and the skyline looks sick. It's not like you can see the stars in the night sky over in New York anyways. Who cares about all the power consumption? We're already screwed about that stuff anyway, so we might as well make it look pretty. The Sphere already did it once when we could be doing it with the entire side of the World Trade Center. Ugh, I love destroying the environment. Crazy mountain highway in China. I can't tell if all those stopped cars as bad traffic or people are literally parking on the side of this 2-lane bridge. I'm sure it's a beautiful view, but you can see these cars just struggling to get in between these people just parked on the sides. Like, bro, there's no room. Elephant Foot Glacier in Greenland, man. Dude, when I was in Greenland, this would have been such a cool thing to try and see, but I have no idea where this is. I don't know what it is with things named the Elephant Foot always looking like a droopy nutsack. Like the radioactive eldritch mass called the Elephant's Foot that will kill you if you spend too much time near it in Chernobyl. We know this is ice, but it's neat how it almost looks like flowing lava. Just the viscous way that magma kind of slowly crawls around. Except this thing is completely solid. I just think that's neat. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. That card I mentioned should be on screen. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I will see y'all next time.